videos. I really do like making videos. I do like editing videos. I do like the performance arc of it. I think it's my muse at this moment. I probably would fall in love with engineering if I really got into like NAN or OpenCloud or all that stuff too. That would be really exciting for me too. On the opposite
Like Brian.
Yeah, I think so.
Brian gets very excited over that.
I think so because I have so many ideas and visions of maybe Brian and I can jam one day and he can be the extension of my
Engineering
passions on that side. Yeah, because I have so many ideas of what I'd like to do with data science and visualization and what you can even do with drones later on. Like I was thinking, what would happen if you got a Mentrix and could fly over Bali and just 3D map the whole fucking place, right? That would be next level. Well, then you would need supercomputers to do that. Wow, that'd be cool. To have supercomputers calculating. But then who would pay for that? That's the question. But if you got the responsibility to manage all of Bali's economics.
I mean, I guess that could happen.
But the problem is also this. The problem seems to be that this is the tragedy of Indonesia, that people don't want it to be efficient. People don't want it to be better. People just want the flow to go into their pockets, and that's status quo. Indonesian people and Filipino people and a lot of people working in developing countries, the goal is to get to the top and then shove as much money into their own pocket as possible. It's also understandable because that's the only way you could have gotten to the top in the first place. You were good at making money for people, right? And you're good at making money for yourself. So a lot of these governments, they kind of act as businesses. It's a business to get into the power positions. It's a business to keep it. And you have your investors, who are not the people who have expectations that you need to fulfill in order to keep your position. The people don't decide. The court decides. The court puts you in power because they
The
need
board.
you. Whatever you call it. Whoever is the people who are paying for the campaigns that put politicians into power, whatever it is that takes like the name of Jokowi from the kind of obscure, I don't know, Surakarta solo furniture business person, of which there's a dime a dozen, to a nationally recognized presidential name. I mean, I don't think he paid for that himself, right? Somebody paid for that. So,
Just like the way they do it in America, right? With
like the way
JD
they do
Vance.
everything. Yeah, the way they do everywhere. So, yeah, you have to earn it. You're accountable to your backers to gain the support of the public. So the public gets to choose, but they don't get really much of a choice. They get to choose the people who have already been pre-selected to take care of business. So, yeah, I mean, ultimately, if America's in its decline right now, you could say that capitalism hijacked democracy, which it was always going to do. I mean, I think I think the founding fathers saw that that is probably going to be a problem. Anyway, that's why you're not really allowed to talk about it either. And that's why, I don't know, it's kind of scary to me sometimes because I look at the new generation, they have no inkling of where the strings are now. And I had no inkling when I was younger too. Maybe I'm wise now. Maybe I'm 45 and I can see where the strings are. And there's probably strings I can't see. But it's not about knowing what the strings are. It's, are your fingers attached to these strings? You know? That's the question. I have a funny visual in my head. I kind of see this idea of like, you know, you got strings attached and you're pulling other puppets, but then there's strings attached to your hands
Controlling.
that are being pulled by somebody who's puppeteering you, right? The transition, where I understood that was from becoming an employee to a businessman. And I realized that there's strings to create businessmen and founders and entrepreneurs. There are people who do industrial development, and what they do is they figure out a way to create condition and an environment to foster entrepreneurs to come in. You can see this in Lombok, you can see this in many government projects. So I think in a strange way, you're part of an employee too. You're an unpaid employee who gets a chance to earn a profit. Not a shirt, just a chance to earn a profit by putting your own money and doing your own thing. It's almost like for industrial development, it's like when I first heard of these plans being discussed, I forgot some upper level meeting in Indonesia, I thought it was bizarre. Like there are people who actually want to do that, people who are willing to spend their own money and open businesses and do all that. Isn't that kind of crazy? Why wouldn't anybody just expect the government to pay to open their businesses? But then I became an entrepreneur and I realized no. Some people see that as opportunity, right? But then it makes you think again. Some people see a job as an opportunity. So is it an opportunity or is it bait? You know? So I guess you got to get clever at that as you age. You got to figure out like, you know, what's bait and what's actually opportunity and in like a full scale. So find a mentor. That can help you decide the difference.
Yeah, having a mentor is very important.
I think so.
One of the most important things.
I think so. It saves you a ton of agony. Actually, having a mentor just helps you see doors that you couldn't have seen on your own. Like you probably walk past them all the time. And it can be in small things. I remember, for example, capoeira, which is a passion of mine up until Boca Vista became a passion of mine. So
But I think you still feel passion, but you don't have time for it.
I probably can have time if I make time for it. I just need to. It's I don't have the willingness to pay for it with time and money, right? Because the money part is not the problem. The expense and time, and perhaps even energy.
Oh, the energy. Yeah.
But the energy you put into capoeira is energy you get back from. So that part is kind of okay. But
Where is the fields?
But I guess the critical point on mentorship is with the capoeira analogy. I had walked past this door thousands of times on my way from the train station to the college campus, and for all those thousands of times, I never bothered to really look inside and ask who was there. And then I went to Brazil, and I saw capoeira being performed on the streets. I was like, that's pretty fucking cool. That's the coolest way I've ever seen people ever move. And later on, I realized that the best capoeira teacher, mestre, master outside of Brazil, taught at that place I walked past by every day, which is pretty funny. He was like a legend. He was like an international legend. And I mean, that's just one field in one small little niche, but that's an example of a hidden door, right? You just walk past it all the time. You have no idea what's inside. I think of all the Gojek drivers that probably go into buildings all the time and deliver packages, and they probably are hanging out with people worth thousands of times or millions of times. But
they don't realize it.
Or they don't realize that they could just say, hey, you know, you look like a person who's got his shit together. Can I ask you how you got rich, right? I'm sure a lot of people would actually be open to answering that question. I think a lot of people who are in that position are waiting for somebody to go and just say, I admire you. How did you become this wealthy? Because surprisingly, wealthy people are lonely and nobody asks them that question. They're surrounded by people, either their family, who watch the entire sequence go going up, sideways, down, whatever. So they're not amused by hearing the story anymore. They've lived the story. Or they're around their employees, and that's not essentially the place to begin a mentorship cycle. So if you're a Gojek driver and you see somebody wealthy, maybe you should just stop and just be curious and ask. What do you have to lose? You really have nothing to lose. Nothing to lose, right? You have zero to lose. If you ask and they don't say anything, then go and ask the next time. If I were a Gojek driver, that would be probably how I would use that access to get multiple levels above where I began. Because that would be a total hack. Total hack.
I'm thinking of becoming a
Gojek
Gojek
driver
driver.
just to do that.
Yeah, just to do that.
But you don't know where you're going to end up, right? But let's say you're a Gojek driver and you just do CBD, like Central Business District in like Jakarta. You could probably find yourself often in, you know, places where you could ask these things, right? But there's gatekeepers, of course, you know. You can't just kind of freely walk around. But maybe you can. Maybe you could probably just burst open doors and say, this startup is amazing. What do you guys do here? And tell them who you really are, right? So, yeah.
I think a lot of wealthy people can see courage.
They see courage and they know who they need to respect.
Yeah.
They know who they need to respect. They are very, very efficient at provisioning respect. Does that make sense?
Provisioning as in pre-filter?
No. Respect is expensive. I hear a lot of people say that, oh, you know, you need to respect everyone, you need to respect everyone. And one of the hypocrisies I used to see in life was like, you know, people who are really, really obedient to someone higher status than them and they're a tyrant to someone below them. I used to think that was hypocrisy, but I get it now. I understand why that is, because emotional energy to have to respect everyone is a bit expensive. And sometimes you do need to partition it, whatever, right? You don't need to be an asshole to everybody, but you certainly cannot respect everybody. That's kind of like you need to reserve respect for people who.
Who you actually respect.
I think so. Because if you're respecting everyone equally, then you're not giving what the people who probably would be. You're paying all your employees the same, right? I realize respect is a currency that all leaders can apply. It's sometimes even more valuable than the money. So if you
Access, right?
I guess that's what it is.
Yeah,
I guess what it is.
Respect,
it could be
access.
Yeah, if I respect you, then I probably
Respect
don't.
is the currency for access.
Perhaps that's
right.
That's a pretty strong conclusion. Yeah, but yeah, I would not argue that at this moment. Seems like pretty solid. So yeah, if you have respect, you have currency for access, and so you shouldn't respect everyone. Actually, that's the thing. That's the thing I've learned as an employer, as a boss, as a leader over time, is that true respect is really, really rare, and it goes to people who really deserve it. And if you are too nice to everyone, you need to ask yourself, are you doing that because you're vain?
You're vain?
Johnny Ive and Steve Jobs had a difficult conversation one time. And Steve Jobs accused Johnny Ive, his lead designer, that he just was not being strict enough with his team. His team was not getting deadlines met. And
Oh yeah,
whatever.
Steve Jobs was...
And so Steve went to Johnny and said, Johnny, what the hell is wrong with you, right? You have all these people on your team, you need to get shit done. Johnny said, because of this, because of that, and Steve Jobs said, why don't you just yell at them and make them clearly understand that these deadlines are important. They're important. And Johnny said, I can't do that because I'm not that kind of person. Steve said, you can't do that because you're vain. And you actually love yourself more than you actually love the mission. And so that got me thinking too. A lot of people in Indonesia are vain. They'd rather just have everyone think that, they'd rather just sacrifice whatever direction or goal that they were going for, just so that they don't risk losing another like.
Right. People pleasing. All the time.
Whatever it could mean, it comes from within. It's a choice that somebody makes. And it's usually to protect their vanity. Indonesians are very, very vain. Super vain. Probably, if Islam does actually prohibit vanity. And that's one of the 7 sins. But Indonesians violate that one really, really a lot. These always selfie, always like taking pictures, always thinking about how the world sees me. That's extreme vanity. So therefore, extreme sinning. I think if Indonesia can kind of like come to terms with its propensity for indulging in vanity, I mean, some things would be lost. It would be less beautiful. There would be less art, culture, visual representation. But I think there would also be more spiritual growth. There would be more actual ability for achievement.
They will get more things done.
More things done. Instead of like hoping that everyone likes me.
Hoping that everyone does the things, not me.
It's probably also a contrast between rice farming culture and hunting culture, as we talked about before. Rice farming culture, you do think of yourself as a collective. Hunting culture, you do think of yourself more as an individual. So that's kind of maybe the legacy of that. Okay, all right. I think that's about it. We better go.
All right. Well,
All right.
it's done before the 15-minute video limit. All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.